Hey guys, this is Mrs. Harbin, and this is the end of Chapter 3 on functions. Today we are looking at rational functions. Now, in the previous lesson, we looked at proper rational functions and functions that were reduced, rational functions that were reduced. Today we're going to look at improper and unreduced rational functions to figure out how to reduce them and what to do if they're improper. Our biblical integration for our unit is this. God creates seasons for all areas of his creation, good times and bad, life and death, winter, spring, summer, and fall. These are just a few of God's cycles. And we see these cycles all throughout creation, which helps us to make predictions about what's going to happen in creation. And as such, it helps us to take care of creation. That includes the animals, the plants, and all the people who live in God's creation. And we use functions to help us make those predictions about these cycles. Our lesson objective for today is that you, the student, will find horizontal or oblique asymptotes for improper rational functions and wholes for unreduced rational functions and graph. In a rational function, you can cancel only for values where the denominator is not 0. So let me show you what that looks like. Actually, let's come back here really quickly, back to this not 0, because there's an interesting note in our book about why fractions that end or have a 0 in the denominator are improper. So let's think about 0 over 0. Whenever we talk about fractions, we say that any number over itself is equal to 1, right? Like 5 over 5 would be equal to 1. And so then you might think, oh, well, 0 over 0, anything over itself, that's 1, right? Well, then we think about 0 over 3. And 0 divided by 3, if we have 0 candy bars and we share it with 3 friends, each friend gets 0. 0 divided by 3 equals 0. So then 0 divided by 0 should also equal 0. Well, because 0 over 0 kind of meets both of these rules, this any number over itself and this anything 0 divided by anything, that's what makes it undefined, because it just does not have a definite value. And so when we're talking about rational functions, when we have a function on the bottom that equals 0, our function is undefined. So let's take a look at what this looks like. We have this rational function, x minus 2 over x squared minus 5x plus 6. According to our definition, this is a proper rational function because our degree of our numerator is less than the degree of the denominator. Let's go ahead and factor that denominator, and we get x minus 2 over x minus 2 times x minus 3. So according to our rules of factoring and products, we should be able to cancel these x minus 2's because x minus 2 divided by x minus 2 is 1, and so they cancel each other out. That leaves us with 1 over x minus 3 if x is not equal to 2. If x were equal to 2, then this would be 0. 2 minus 2 equals 0, and 0 times whatever this is also 0, which makes our function undefined. So this reduced function works as long as x is not equal to 2. So again, we can cancel only for values where the denominator is not 0. So if we cancel anything out, we have to make sure that in our domain we say that x is not going to be equal to that value that we canceled. So the domain for this function, x is not equal to 2, can be found by excluding values that make the original denominator equal to 0. Okay, x can also not be equal to 3, because if we put 3 down here, we would also have an undefined function. Now, only one of these two excluded values indicates a vertical asymptote, and the other is a whole. Vertical asymptotes are determined from reduced functions. So here is our reduced rational function, and this is what we use to determine the vertical asymptote. So where x is not equal to 3, you can see we've got a vertical asymptote here. Reduced functions help to determine our vertical asymptotes. Any other wholes or any other values of x that we have to exclude, like this value right here that we got from canceling, that gives us a whole. So you can see at x equals 2, we don't have an asymptote, but we do have a whole that we put there. So if this number, 2, is a 0, both the numerator and the denominator, then it's a whole. It cancels and it's a whole. So if we can cancel it, it's a whole. If it's a 0 in the reduced rational function, it's an asymptote. So see if you can write that down, commit that to memory. The graph reflects over y equals x minus 3. Here's x minus 3, and then here's our reciprocal function y 1 over x minus 3. So going back to this reciprocal function, you can see that reflection there. Vertical asymptotes must be determined again from a reduced rational function. So once we reduce that function, we saw that x could not be equal to 3. That gives us our vertical asymptote. But any numbers that we cancel, where it's a 0 of the numerator and the denominator, and we're able to cancel that out, like that x minus 2, those result in a whole. If x equals a, then there is a hole in the graph, and what we just said. Let's take a look at this example. We have x plus 2 times x minus 1 times x minus 3 all over x minus 3, x plus 5, and x minus 7. So in graphing these, first we need to find the domain. The denominator of a rational expression cannot equal 0. So we see that x cannot equal 3. And because this is both on the top and on the bottom, it's going to be a hole in our function. We also know that x cannot equal negative 5, nor can it equal 7. So we know we have a hole at x equals 3, and that we have asymptotes at negative 5 and x equals 7. We use that reduced form to find the vertical asymptotes. Well then, we will find our zeros from the numerator to find our intercepts. We have zeros at negative 2 and at 1. So we have quite a bit of information. We have a hole, we've got two asymptotes, we've got zeros, or where it crosses the x-axis at negative 2 and 1. And that's the information that we can glean from that. We can then put that on a graph and graph that, looking for values between our asymptotes to finish the graph. Remember that our equation, if you will, for a rational function is f of x equals p of x over q of x, when q of x is not equal to 0. Well, we talked about a proper rational function is when the degree of p of x is less than the degree of q of x. So x over x squared, for example, would be a proper rational function. But there are times when the degree of p of x and q of x are equal, so it's no longer a proper rational function. When that happens, the quotient, excluding the remainder, and therefore the horizontal asymptote, will be the ratio of the leading coefficients of p of x and q of x. So we could divide these two functions, and the quotient will tell us where our horizontal asymptote is. Or, shortcut, we can take the leading coefficients and divide those, and that will tell us where our horizontal asymptote is. So in a proper rational function, our horizontal asymptote is always at x equals 0. But in an improper rational function, we've got to do a little bit of work. So let's take a look at what this looks like. We're going to find the horizontal asymptote for this function. You can see that the degrees of both of these, 4 and 4, they're equal. So in order to figure out what the horizontal asymptote is, we can either divide or we can just take the ratios of the leading coefficients, 3 and 18. When reduced is 1 over 6. So our horizontal asymptote is not at 0 like normal, but at 1/6. Every proper rational function has a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. But improper fractions can have those elsewhere. Here's why those proper rational functions have asymptotes at y equals 0. If this is our original function, and we wanted to add an x squared term so that the degrees would be the same, we would have 0x squared over 3x squared. And the ratio of those leading coefficients, 0 divided by 3, is 0. So that's why it has a horizontal asymptote is 0. Remember, horizontal asymptotes can be crossed. Horizontal asymptotes describe the behavior of the tails. All right, let's take a look at how to graph this rational function here. We've got x squared minus 4 over x plus 2. This is not a proper rational function because the degree of the numerator is higher than the degree of the denominator. First, let's find the domain. Are there any holes? Did any factors cancel? Well, when we factor out the top here, x squared minus 4, we're going to get x minus 2 and x plus 2. So we do have a factor that's going to cancel. That tells us that there is a hole at x equals negative 2. Not an asymptote, but a hole, because we had a factor cancel on the top and on the bottom. Vertical asymptotes, there are none. We don't have anything else on the bottom that would cause our function to be undefined. So no vertical asymptotes. Zeros, when we plug in the top and we solve for 0, we get x equals 2. I am not sure why this says none, other than maybe the zeros at the bottom, but we should have a 0. It should cross the x-axis at x equals 2. All right, so here's what we know. We've got our x squared minus 4 over x plus 2. Our reduced function is x minus 2. Our domain is that x cannot equal negative 2 because that was a factor both the top and the bottom. It is a hole. There is no vertical asymptote, and again, zeros where it crosses the x-axis, it will cross the x-axis at x equals 2. And we know that because we took this and we set it equal to 0. You can see that on our graph as well. So we've got a hole at negative 2. We've got a slope, positive slope of 1 with a y-intercept of negative 2 and a 0 at 2. There are no horizontal asymptotes when the degree of the numerator exceeds the degree of the denominator. Okay, as you saw here, the degree of the numerator exceeds the degree of the denominator, so there was no horizontal asymptote. The tails are not approaching anything. So keep that in mind. There would be no horizontal asymptote when the degree of the numerator exceeds the degree of the denominator. If long division of the function results in a remainder, then the graph will have an oblique asymptote, our third type of asymptote. Oblique asymptotes occur if the degree of the numerator is 1 more than the degree of the denominator, and the remainder is not 0. So if you see, our degree of the numerator is 1 more than the degree of the denominator. So we're looking for an oblique asymptote. That's going to be a slanted line, as long as the remainder is not 0. When we plug in 0 for our x's, we find the y-intercept is equal to 0 4/3. And when we solve the top to find our zeros, we find that we'll cross the x-axis at plus or minus square root of 3. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. When we solve the denominator for our vertical asymptotes, we find that there are vertical asymptotes at x equals plus or minus square root of 3. So let's take a look at what a graph of this might look like. First, we're going to do some long division here. And this is a little bit not aligned on the screen very well. This negative 4 should really be down here. So let's move that down there. Okay, and this positive 3 should be down here, not under the 6x. And when we divide, we end up with 6x minus 7. Now remember, we said if the degree of the numerator is 1 more than the degree of the denominator and the remainder is not 0, or remainder is not 0, then we are going to have an oblique asymptote. So when we divide, we're left with 2x minus 1 plus 6x minus 7 over x squared minus 3 as our remainder. So y equals 2x minus 1 is an asymptote. So to determine our oblique asymptote, whatever we have when we divide, as long as the remainder is not 0, that's also going to be the line that represents our asymptote. Okay, here's what we've discovered so far. We know the y-intercept is 0 and 4/3. There are no rational zeros. The x-intercepts are not going to be useful to us in graphing. We have vertical asymptotes at plus or minus square root of 3. And we know that y equals 2x minus 1 is a vertical asymptote. So just like graphing those linear equations, we're going to put a dotted line there. Now we're going to plug in some x values from each region, 1, 2, 3, and 4, to see what our graph looks like.